So it's 2 o'clock. We only have 30 minutes and we have a bunch of information to talk to. So I just wanted to quickly set the stage about why we're all here and what the problem is and how we help solve it. So my name is Paul Warnigaris. Been helping companies of all sizes protect, against threats to their data for, gosh, I don't even want to say how long, but I formed the Teneo group about 15 years ago. And what we do at Teneo is we secure access to data. It doesn't matter if it's accessed by a machine, by a human, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's on-prem, and regardless of what the access mechanism is. And primarily we do this by applying the CIS top 18 controls to our customer systems. And arguably the pillar number 1 and number 2 are the most important, and obviously for good reason. If you're not familiar with the CIS top 18, just Google it, or you could send me an email, pop a question in the chat, hit me up on LinkedIn, whatever the case may be. But CIS top 18 is basically the gold standard for if you want to protect your data. And so we go about helping our customers protect the data. And largely, we didn't really have an answer for number 1 or number 2, pillar number 1, number 2, because what do? You get a content management database and that gets stale, or you have a homegrown app, you store some stuff in an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, okay, everybody has to do something because that's their job, but do you have a single source of truth? That's the question. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So I just want to just quickly read what the first pillar says. So actively manage. And this means inventory, track, and correct all enterprise assets. That's classified as end user devices, including portable and mobile, network devices, non-computing, IoT, and servers connected to your infrastructure physically, virtually, remotely, and within the cloud. So you can accurately know the totality of the assets that need to be monitored and protected. So, okay, that sounds pretty daunting, right? So how do you do that? You could use an active scanning tool, and that's good, right? But what happens when devices are off or things coming in and out of the office? You could use a passive discovery tool. And if you're doing that, you're probably paying a lot of money. And that's fine too. It's also a good way to do things. One of the controls is use DHCP to update your asset inventory list. Now, like, people don't usually even do asset or DHCP logging, let alone is it going to update their list. And so these are some serious challenges that we run into every day. And like I said, we have ignored it. And so on the software side, there's 10 or 12 controls, but the one I love the most is software inventory should be tied to hardware inventory. And so you tell me how you do that, right? So you pull two exports out, you do some, Excel magic, and all of a sudden you have your inventory asset and your hardware inventory asset list, and it's good for the next 10 minutes until something changes. So how do we fix this problem? There really was no good answer until today. And that's what we're here to talk about. So I'm super excited to share the solution with you. I have my buddy Adib, who is gonna help us explain at a very high level, what the challenges are and how they solve the problem. And there used to be this thing called VM sprawl, right? So you stand up a VM server, next thing you know, you have 100 assets. Well, today it's console sprawl, right? So now there's a console for this, a console for that, and all these consoles control access to the data, the systems, and the software, but none of them really talk with each other. So imagine, right, if you could correlate and deduplicate all of the consoles that you have to get a single source of truth. That's what we're going to talk about. Some of the problems that we solve. So the obvious one is it's easy to tell where all your agents are, but where are your agents not? Like, do you have systems out there that should have agents on that don't have them? Okay, so they have them on. Are they working right? So you could probably go into the console and tell that, but how many consoles do you have? You need a single source of truth, right? So what unknown things are on my network? That's everybody's looking for that. Like, where are these things and what are they? We have ways to solve that. So, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but Adib, I know we only have 30 minutes and probably only 25 now. So, hey, I'm just going to turn this over to you, man, and feel free to, I'm going to stop sharing. And if you want to share, I mean, how do you want to do this? Should I just let you share or?
Yeah, you go ahead and stop sharing, and I'll go ahead and I'll start sharing my side. Quick introduction on my side, everybody. My name is Adib, one of the senior sales engineers over here at CIS. I've been here for about 7 months, and boy, have we been busy. And what I will do now is show you a little bit about what we do over here on our side of the pond. And Paul, you're spot on, exactly right. This is an age-old problem. Getting the inventory, having 6 or 7 different systems to do it, getting stale data, incomplete data. It's just a lot. And our big thing is controlling complexity. We understand that everybody's business, if everything is going good, things are expanding, things are getting bigger. A more tools are coming into play, tools to manage those tools, and it becomes pretty cumbersome. We've simplified that. And I will tell you, the way that we do it is definitely different than maybe what you're currently doing or what you heard that's available out there. First and foremost, our three main goals with Exonius, the three main things that we sought out to do when we were being developed before my time. One is getting the comprehensive asset inventory, giving it to you so this way it's complete and it's accurate and you can trust it. The second one is discovering security coverage gaps. And I will tell you, a lot of people really like that one just because, as you said, all same thing. A lot of your agents will tell you where they are. They won't tell you where they're not. I'll show you that today. And then last but not least is automating and enforcing security policies. So how do we get all this?
I forgot
that's a big one.
That's right.
No, you're good. I got you back. Don't worry. That is a big one too, right? And I'll also make sure I show you that today. First and foremost, the way that I've described this to a lot of people is we're like the ultimate Google Translate for all the different tools that you have in your environment. They're all speaking their own language. They're all naming stuff, their naming convention, and that's fine. They are all collectors. They're all doing the job that you pay for them to do, and hopefully they're doing a good job and they're getting a lot of good data from it. What we do is we aggregate all that data and we connect to all the tools in your environment via adapters, right? Now, adapters for us, again, it's something that we develop in-house. We develop these on the fly for not only customers, but even prospects that are POCing us. If it's a situation where we have 99%, which is usually the case, 99% or even 100% in your environment, and we don't have an adapter already put in place for a special tool that's near and dear to your heart, our team on our side will go ahead and develop that adapter for you. Again, trying to make sure that we maintain that partnership and get you where you need to be. So this way, even during the POC, you see our commitment and the value to it. We also, outside of just the ones that you're probably familiar with, we can even take in custom data. If there's something very special that an individual or even a team at your company may have went ahead and developed that's super custom and just for a unique niche use case at company XYZ, that's fine. If we can get it in a CSV, a JSON, or even a SQL format, we have adapters built so this way we can ingest that custom data. But just to kind of give you an idea of how easy it is to connect one of these, it is an API key. That's essentially what we need. Commonly, one of the things I tell people, it's one of the easiest deployments that I've ever been a part of in my cybersecurity career because you can get deployment done in about an hour. If you were to give me these API keys, we'll say by breakfast, by lunchtime, we would have already went ahead and pulled this data from any of the specific tools that we've connected. Now, again, we're doing a discovery cycle every 12 hours to go ahead and make sure we're not being swatted away from any thresholds or anything like that any of these tools are putting on the API calls. And this is customizable. You can put it any which way you see fit. Again, we have all the categories of all the different tools already preset for you. We'll even show you the ones that we already have configured, as well as the connection status, what category they fall under. If it's green, it's good. If it's red, it needs some attention. And again, that's just being super transparent with everything that we're doing over here. Now, once we pull this information in, you're going to see a bunch of info coming into the environment. Now, what Exonius has already done, by the time you see this screen that's populated with your inventory, we've deduplicated, correlated, and aggregated all of these unique assets in the environment. I'll use this top one as an example. You can see here, it's an AD client for correlation. Okay, let me go ahead and expand on this. It looks like we pulled data about this unique asset from multiple tools. And there's a lot of holes in some of these, and obviously there's some discrepancies between the data. Where Exonius comes in, what our secret sauce is we've taken all the individual data that we've seen from all the different adapters that we've connected to inside of an environment, everything that they're seeing, we've normalized all the language that it's speaking, and now we've aggregated it. Now, aggregation itself is, again, that's the name of the game for us, exactly what we specialize in. We're giving you basic info, things that you can now use to ask your data questions. This is great for mergers and acquisitions. This is great for audits. It's just really just nice to know what your inventory looks like. And again, just to kind of give everybody a super high level, we're showing network interfaces, installed software on that one unique asset, OS installed security patches, connected hardware, the users that are logged into these devices, maybe somebody that has local administrative privileges, maybe that they shouldn't have, agent versions, out-of-date agents, missing agents, all of that stuff comes into play when we get this aggregated field after we do that discovery cycle and our magic behind the scenes. Let me go back into the devices piece. Now, when we're talking about asking your data questions, our first part is getting you the data, getting you the inventory. This is exactly what we've already done at this point. The second thing that I promised is showing you security coverage gaps, just to kind of give everybody an idea how easy this is. We've developed something called a query wizard. You don't need to know regex. You don't need to know Boolean logic. We make it simple. When I was talking about that aggregated field within Exonius, you see our logo here, you can now ask one particular query line here, any question you want, and it will actively go through everything that we've discovered and aggregated from all the tools that we've connected. Something simple. We'll start off with that. OS type. Show me everything that's Windows based and do it quickly. I don't want to ask 10 teams. I don't want to wait a week to get my answer. If we got an audit coming up next week and they want to know the lay of the land, I'm prepared to show them that. Out of those 8,000 devices, yeah, go ahead.
The only thing I'll point out is when I first saw this demo, I didn't see where the device count was. So do you want to just point that out? Because now, yeah, there you go. There's 630 now. There used to be 8,000 there. That's just one of the things, just so everybody understands.
Yeah, we had 8,000, and all I did was simply put a one-line query in there showing me all the Windows devices. Now I'm letting you know that we have 630 Windows devices from the data that we've pulled. Now, the reason why we connect to so many different tools is because we don't want to trust one single source. We want to crowdsource the information, put them all together, see where the discrepancies are, and get you the accurate inventory with all of its attributes in its entirety, right? So in this particular case, I'm just showing Windows devices. Let's get into the missing security agent piece. That's a big one. The one that I use traditionally on a lot of my calls is CrowdStrike. I think it's a great tool. I know it's pretty widely used. And again, very simple. Show me where CrowdStrike exists on my Windows devices. I could get rid of the Windows. It'll show me everything, but let's just use that for right now. Now I have 8 devices that actively have CrowdStrike working on them. That is a troubling number. As anybody that's in the IT space, that would be a huge problem. Now, again, a lot of people will also say, Adib, I can log into my CrowdStrike and it'll tell me exactly where CrowdStrike is. I understand that. Any tool, essentially, that you have an administration console, and you'll probably be able to see what they see. Where we step in, because we've crowdsourced all this information and we know the software that's installed, the agents that are installed, and really everything about that asset, is when we utilize this NOT operator to show you all the Windows devices that don't have CrowdStrike on them. And this number is the one that sticks out like a sore thumb. 622 unprotected Windows devices in this environment. This could have happened because of merger and acquisition. You brought on a bunch of new machines and they just never got the proper package pushed out to them. The agent, had an issue in the onboarding piece, whatever it may be. There's a boatload of different reasons why you can have a missing security agent. Maybe a hacker uninstalled it on a massive scale. Now you can save these queries. You can save them whatever you would like them to be saved as. Naming conventions are completely up to you, right? Very simple, very easy to do. And then you'll have a list of all your queries here inside of Exonius, which is nice to keep organized and whatnot. Now, the reason why, we want to show you the devices that are missing the agent is not only just to give you the visibility that you previously didn't have and to point the flashlight at a huge problem, but it's also to go ahead and let you know our third promise, which is more so just letting you automate and enforce security policy. I'm just going to select any of these just as an example for today for this call. The first piece that we want to do is select a triggering event. Now, a triggering event is essentially based off query results. Now, the query that I've already previously created to be able to show on today's call was just something I put my initials on to go ahead and let you know Windows devices without CrowdStrike. This is automated. This can run in the background for you so you don't have to keep worrying about it. We can leverage this with your current discovery cycle settings, which is, again, every 12 hours, or we can go ahead and really dig deep and get very granular on the scheduling that you'd like this to run. Some people have it run every day. Some people have it once a week. For something like a missing agent, and if my company is doing a M&A or we're growing at a rapid rate, which is a good thing, I probably have it running every discovery cycle every couple hours, just to go ahead and make sure that nothing is getting under the radar, and so I can keep on top of it. Once this is done, you save it. We have success actions. This is where the fun stuff comes in. I think right now, as we sit on this call today, we have about 120 actions that you can essentially take from anything inside the enforcement center. And this number will continue to grow, just like our number of adapters will continue to grow. The more tools we bring in, the more actions we can actually take advantage of. So the first one, super simple, super basic, super straightforward. Send an email, whether it be to a teammate that usually handles, we'll say, the CrowdStrike side of the house, or send an email to my ticketing system. That's an option. We can send Slack. We can send Microsoft Teams messages. The list on this one is pretty solid. And that's really basic at that point. Maybe it's creating an incident inside of ServiceNow. If you're a heavy Jira user, this is great. Maybe you got Zendesk, Freshservice, Atlassian, Sharewell. They're all in there. Another one that I personally like quite a bit, because we do get the question very often, how is this different than my CMDB? And I will tell you that with CMDBs, they traditionally go out of date rather quickly. Not to say they're not doing a good job in giving us a solid baseline, but if your CMDB is missing an asset and you're finding it to be a huge problem, you're still relying on spreadsheets. Let's hope not, but if it is, We can create those assets for you because we're utilizing and crowdsourcing all that info, and we're discovering more than any of the other tools would do on their own.
Indeed.
Now, if it's, yeah, go ahead.
So what I find is that some of the biggest people who push back on this awesome technology are the CMDB guys. And there's a good reason for that, right? Because they spent probably, if you got a good CMDB and a lot of assets, hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's probably multiple people who are responsible for this, and it's their job to keep up to date. And when we put this system in and it shows us how out of date the CMDB is, it's not a good conversation, and it's never a fun call. But if you're on this call and you're a CMDB person, just understand that we could help you improve your content management database. If you're a manager who's oversees the guy who is in charge of the CMDB, push back on him, because this is going to help you get better data for your direct reports. And it doesn't point the finger at this guy. I'm just saying the biggest pushback I get is from the content management database people. They have it all under control. That's what they say. But really, when we put this in, they don't. So I just want to throw that out there.
And Paul, you're right. Exactly. We are not trying to replace your CMDB. Our goal is to enrich your CMDB and keep it up to date for you. So this way you don't have to go in there. Or if you're ever asked to present a certain amount of data or whatever it may be, they ask you some inventory questions, you can answer it confidently, right? And it doesn't just need to be like a ServiceNow or anything like that. It could be a Sharewell. There's many different options in here that we have that not only will we create it, but we will keep it up to date for you. When we are talking specifically about this particular use case, right? When we're talking about missing security agents, which again, for us is it's a huge use case for Exonius on the list of thousands that we do have. The deploying files and run commands. A lot of people say, is Exonius going in there and actually deploying the agent on my machine for me? I don't know if I want to give it that permission. That's a common question we get all the time. No, we will utilize whatever deployment tools that you have. We will be able to go ahead and deploy a CrowdStrike agent just by setting a command to your SCCM, for an example. So this way, not only are the machines now getting the proper agent, but you know you have coverage. Once all of that is done, and everything went through, we have post actions, we have failure actions. If we couldn't get something done for whatever way, shape, or form, we would notify you. I would definitely recommend to utilize the notify action. Post action, same thing. Go ahead and notify my team, whether it be a Slack, whether it be an email. Just let us know that we now have this patch. And again, once you set this up, this is automated. It's enforced for you in the back end. If you're doing another merger and acquisition that's coming up in another year that you already are aware of, we already have you covered. As soon as they get brought on board, we'll go ahead and tell SCCM or whatever that deployment tool is to go ahead and get that agent deployed on it. We already paid for the license. We need to make sure we're protected. Maybe have an audit coming up. Now, everything I've showed you today, again, these are our three main promises, right? That's really what we offer. We do want everybody to know that there is role-based access. You don't need to give everybody the keys to the castle. We have reports. The big thing I do also want to kind of point out to is maybe the summarization of all this. Right, we have an Exonius dashboard. When you first log in, this is what you'll see. The number in parentheses is before we deduplicated multiple entries that we saw that essentially were the same. You can see some of them are just by one. Some of them have quite a few. I think you'll see that a lot in the cloud instances, right? From 1,225 down to 899 after we deduplicated everything. We're showing you user discovery. We're letting you know the connection statuses. All of these dashboards are customizable. We can do it for people that like to get into the weeds, that are finding themselves spending more time in this particular tool. But we also have executive summaries. If people want to know where they stand from a compliance perspective, if people want to know what our agent coverage is like, maybe for example, a Carbon Black across multiple OSs, it's all there. Really what we're doing is we're trying to show you what we saw from all the tools after deduplication and after correlation. We can now give you the true unique device count. And again, we want to make sure that we cover all of our bases here. It does not matter what vertical you are in, what type of business you are in, if you are large or you are small. This is a problem that essentially everyone's been dealing with for years. No more spreadsheets, no more just relying on a CMDB. We want to get all that information and give you peace of mind, but also give you the tools to go ahead and make your life a little bit easier. Paul, I know I'm trying to be cognizant of the time. I think I saw two bubbles pop up in Q&A.
Yep. So before I get, and I'll get to those, what the only comment I wanted to make is that if you have a way of figuring out an asset management question right now, we could automate it. That's the thing. If there's something so important that you guys pull these spreadsheets, pull these reports, do the correlation, we could automate that. There's not any kind of answer that we weren't able to give to a customer unless they couldn't give us the data. So I just want to throw that out there. And these are just some examples. And it's not like now you have it, every quarter when the board asks for it, you have it all the time. So anyway, that's just my comment. So we do have a couple questions. Number one, how many adapters are available? I'll take a stab at that. I think there's over 400 now. Do you want to go to the adapters tab? Just type in Cisco.
Oh, it's changed since me and you last talked. It's at 528. When I started, I think it was at 300. So
Yep.
we've been busy bees over here, making sure that everybody's getting the adapters that they want.
Yep. And so the easy way is just you could type in Meraki or MER or whatever, Juniper, check whatever, and you could just see Cisco, of course, has a ton of them as you would expect. So okay, that's cool. What is the cost? How is it priced? So I'll take a stab at that too. It's per asset. It's actually per deduplicated asset though. If they find 10,000 assets, they're not going to charge you for 10,000 because you only have 2,500. So it's per asset. You could host it yourself, and so that's another question. You could host it yourself, or it could be hosted in Axonius SaaS. Anything? Yeah, I don't think I missed anything there. So the next question, obviously software and hardware. So it is not a hardware solution unless that changed too. It's a OVA that you could run on-prem. If that's the case, you obviously have to take care of the OS yourself. So Axonius is going to let you know when you need to do something. You just need to be responsible for doing it. Or you could host it in the cloud. What my experience is the cloud hosting is about as expensive as it would cost you to take the resources from your virtual environment. However, if you spend hundreds of thousands on your virtual environment and you got the resources, no need to do it in the cloud. So how could I get a demo in my environment? Reach out to me, reach out to Adib, send a message in the Q&A. I think in the invite, my LinkedIn was there, but I think I didn't personally send it, but I think somebody sent the invite from my account. So please just reach out to me. One more question. And if I didn't answer your question, I think I got everything. I may not have answered your exact question, but answered them together. We have a homegrown ERP system. Can I add it to the platform? I think you touched on that a little bit. It depends on, how do you get data out of it? You want to elaborate on that at all, or is?
Yeah, if it's something that's homegrown, which we come up with all the time, people will mention it to us. Maybe we had a niche use case. There was one person that was working at the company. They developed it in-house. As long as we can get that data in a CSV, a JSON, or a SQL file format, we would be able to ingest that data and then bring it in and enrich it with everything else that we're seeing.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome. That's all the questions there are. I will tell you the one thing I learned from doing this video is I look a lot older compared to you, man. Like I hate this. Like, why am I looking? I should shut my camera off. This is not cool.
Before I started in cybersecurity, this beard was jet black. All right, I had a full head of hair.
All right. Well, hey, all the people attending, really do appreciate it. I think there's going to be a replay. We'll get that out to you if you join late, or if you just wanted to watch it again. And once again, if there's any questions, I think most of you all know how to reach out to me. Please feel free. And Adib, I really appreciate your partnership and appreciate your help, buddy.
You're awesome, Paul. We'll be in touch, my friends. Take care, everybody.